Ascot in England. Since childhood, she's had a passion for horses and riding. Today, among her other activities, she runs her own small stable business. She does it all by herself.
I started riding when I was about 7. And once I started riding, I realised that it was something that I was really going to enjoy doing. I normally start about 8 or 9 o'clock, and then I go on all day. There's something else to do until it gets dark. And I find in the winter time there just isn't enough daylight hours to fit everything in. I've got 6 horses and a foal at the moment, but I normally have about 4 or 5.
Phillipa was born without arms. She was a thalidomide baby.
When she was a few weeks old, I noticed that she was using her legs, as most babies use arms. So I put something at the bottom of the pram with little ducks and things on, which she could reach for and play with. She began to use her feet, and as she developed, she used them more and more, and if anything happened to drop, we would ask her to pick it up. I used to get into a lot of trouble with my friends, thinking that I was hard and cruel, because I used to say, don't open the door for her, she can open it herself. She used to, up would come the leg, and she would open the door, put on the light, and I really was quite tough, but I made her do things, because I felt that she had to be independent. And she started to swim when she was 3, and I let her try everything that a normal child tries. She liked to experiment and climb and go all over the garden and pick things, and that's exactly what she did. She wanted a treehouse, so she did just that. She climbed up the ladder with a hammer and some nails, and she put up some boards in a lower down tree, but she did it.
For a while, Phillipa wore artificial limbs, but she preferred her life without them.
She was far better without them. She had the grace and the dexterity, and her legs were marvelous. She had all the movements of a ballet dancer in her hips and legs.
Phillipa is one of numerous kids whose mother used the drug thalidomide during pregnancy. It was before the time that the drug's tragic consequences were known.
Since she was a teenager, this incredible young lady has pursued her dream of becoming a professional horsewoman and show jumper. She's carefully preparing her horse Gloucester for a local jumping meet. As always, Phillipa will compete on an equal basis with all other riders. That may seem unfair, but it hasn't kept her from winning literally hundreds of awards and trophies. Today's event is the Egham District Riding Club's annual jump-off at Windsor Forest. The competition is stiff. That is how Phillipa controls her horse.
Her hardest problem is because the reins are attached to the stirrups. She finds it difficult to raise a horse's front end up, which is quite helpful. If you've got arms and you can pick a horse's front end up, it becomes a lot easier to ride. She copes with it very well, and all her horses go very nicely. She competes as any other ordinary person and holds her own. Well, normally when I'm show jumping or doing any other riding event, I would wear boots. But because Gloucester is so strong, I find that if I'm actually holding the reins with my toes, I'm okay. Whereas if I had boots on, if she pulled very, very badly, she'd pull the stirrups off my feet, and then I wouldn't have any control at all. So I find that by holding the reins by my toes, I've got constant control the whole time.
The only worry I had was when I went to the first hunt, and I saw her coming towards me across the field at a terrific rate, and I really did feel terrible because it was a horrible jump, and suddenly she's flying over, and my picture is of Phillipa with the sleeves of her coat right out like that. So didn't have really any qualms after that.
It's now almost time for Phillipa to compete.
In the ring at the moment, next to jump, number 653 is Phillipa Smead riding Gloucester.
I think one of the most difficult jumps on the course is, in fact, the double, the combination. Because the first fence is quite small, and you come into the second fence, and as you're about 2 strides away from it, you realise how much bigger it is.
Well done. That brings our total of clear rounds to 8 now.
I've seen Phillipa around the shows quite a lot, and I've always admired her guts, courage and tenacity. And to come here on a day like this, the conditions, the weather conditions, not only jump a clear round to start with, but then to persevere for the jump off, I think is fantastic. I think she's an object lesson to us all, really.
They don't make any exceptions when she enters these events. No exceptions made for Phillipa. That makes me feel very proud.